Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for setting up this webinar. So I will give you a quick introduction of CryptPad. As Catherine said, our product is basically an end-to-end encrypted collaborative office suite. So it aims to be a replacement or an alternative to other solutions like Google Docs, Google Drive, Microsoft 365, etc. So I will start with two anecdotes. The first one is last year, this writer that was focusing on romance novels was using Google Docs to share drafts of her semi-erotic work with her readers. So she had different groups of readers. Beta readers, you know, like a bit like testers to get feedback on her work. And suddenly she found one day that her account was closed with no explanation from Google. So she started to think like, you know, is it because my work was you know, too explicit? Maybe it was because you know, the type of work that she was doing. And so it turns out that it was not related to the nature of the work, but it was more automated moderation based on the fact that she was sending these links to a number of people that was determined to be too large, that it was probably spam or something like this. So Google just shut down the account from one day to the next. And the other case is the story of Disha Ravi, who was at the time in 2021 a 22-year-old environmental activist in India. And she was leading the Fridays for Future movement in India. So the school strikes that were started by Greta Thunberg, that you may have heard about. And she shared, it was at the time of the farmers' protests in India, and she shared a document, a framework with information about protests and slogans and things like this, and was promptly arrested by the Indian police. And it turned out later that this arrest was made possible by Google's collaboration. So they went to Google basically to know who had edited this document, because it was a Google Docs. And they found her IP address and her location in this way. So I think for me, these two stories, I mean, they're two examples of like, we could find hundreds and hundreds of others, but they really highlight the kind of model that we have come to accept when it comes to collaborative document editing or collaborative office suites online. So we basically take for granted that the price of having this online office suite where you can edit and share with people and collaborate in real time, the price for this is that the service that you use sees everything that you write and has basically all power over it. Which, you know, many people accept, and I think the case of the romance writer is very interesting, because she started to speculate on the reason that her work might be, or her account might be closed. So it means like we have so much, to me it demonstrates that we have so much already in our imagination about, you know, the conditions that are put, the terms of use that are put on these kinds of products. So basically, in exchange for this convenience of collaboration, sharing, etc., we accept full access to the data and full power of the platform over this data. And so CryptPad basically challenges this state of affairs, and we say that this product can exist as it is. So it can be live, collaborative, real time, everything we have come to expect from an online office suite. But crucially, the keys to the data should be with the users and not with the service. And so what we try to build and have operated for now over 10 years is a system where the content is only readable on users' devices. So everything happens in the browser, in the web browser. And the service that is responsible for facilitating this hosting and collaboration and sharing does not see anything of the information, does not see anything of the content of the document, the data of the users, etc. So this is our core feature of our product, what differentiates us from the rest of the competition. So these two things have come to be perceived as mutually exclusive. Basically, you have very good tools for collaboration these days. So we've mentioned some of them: Google Drive, Microsoft, even open source tools like Collabora Online or Nextcloud. And you have products that are focused on privacy, like Proton Mail, Signal, Standard Notes, VeraCrypt. I'm probably missing some here, but typically these are not really great at doing real-time collaboration. By saying not great, I mean they don't do it at all, basically. I mean, except you could say that Signal is some kind of, real-time setting, but it's not document editing. And so this is where we say that actually you can have both. These are not mutually exclusive, the collaboration and the privacy. And we are trying to make something that actually works for, preserves both, enables collaboration, but also preserves privacy. So as I said, we are an Office suite, so I will not go through all the applications that we offer. So first, the most basic application is called Rich Text. It's a text editor. If you're familiar with these kinds of things, it's based on CK Editor 4. So it has like the basic feature set of a text editor. So what you see is what you get. So like bold and stuff, of course, but italics, lists, quotes, images, etc. And we've added a few things also ourselves. So the comments functionality is something that we have added, and things like the outline view that you see on the screen and stuff like this. And there is also real-time chat, but that's common to all the apps in CryptPad. We have also Kanban. So this is to organize, let's say, project management, where typically you have a to-do, in progress, and done, and you can have like different statuses. In this app, you also have this is not shown here, but it's rich text or like rich content. You can have images and text in the body of the cards. We have Forms as well. So as a replacement to Google Forms, this is something, and Kanban as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Being an open source project, we have to say our dependencies and what we did ourselves. So Kanban and Forms, we did fully from scratch. And so Forms aims to be an alternative to Google Forms. It's proving very popular because there isn't actually that much alternatives available. There is a few, like Framasoft did an alternative. It's called Yak Forms now, I think. But the end-to-end encryption is particularly important in this setting because this is not just your data. In a lot of cases, these are used, let's say, by, for example, by NGOs or even companies to gather feedback or to gather, people's emails for a mailing list, etc. And very quickly with a form, you're dealing with other people's data. So the data protection angle is quite important, and I think this is why our Forms application is proving to be quite popular. We have the more traditional, let's say, Office suite applications. So we have the spreadsheet, and this is integrating only Office. I will say a bit more about this later. So the spreadsheet, the document, which is much more like a Word lookalike than the rich text application. So more geared towards the production of page media like printouts or PDFs. And we have also presentation from OnlyOffice, which is what I'm using right now. And this is more geared towards making slide decks, basically like a PowerPoint or Google Slides. We also integrate Draw.io, which is a diagram editor that can do everything from boxes and flowcharts, etc., and also more freehand whiteboard kind of drawing. We have a Markdown editor, which is with a live preview, like a two-pane system, and is also enhanced with lots of plugins. So in addition to the basic Markdown set, we have Mermaid.js, which is a way to write diagrams as code. We have mind maps and syntax highlighting for lots and lots of different languages, if you want to share code, for example. And finally, we have Whiteboard, which is a little bit of the ugly duckling of our suite, but we still love it. But yeah, it's just a very simple drawing application. But yes, with the Draw.io diagram that I shared earlier, is getting slowly replaced by more advanced tools. So all of this editing of documents is backed up by extensive, let's say, file management and other utilities. So there is a Drive functionality where you can sort all your files, and also sharing and those folders in your Drive, but also whole drives can be shared as team drives for collaboration with different levels of permissions for different members, etc. So there is quite an extensive support around the applications themselves. So coming back on OnlyOffice, I'm now going through a bit our latest news, let's say. So for a long time, we've integrated the spreadsheet editor. Document and presentation came a bit later, and this is really the hardest part of our integrations in CryptPad, because these are these produce quite complex documents. So to give you an idea, going back to what I was saying at the start, normally OnlyOffice assumes a fully open server that can see all the data. So they provide us a server and the editors that you see here on screen. And basically what we do is we take only the front end and we plug it into our own collaborative server. So we do not use at all the server from OnlyOffice, because our constraint is that the server cannot see the content. And so we have to redo this integration, which is quite a lot of work, and has been one of our major engineering battles the last few years, and still is. But this year we opened finally the document and presentation apps to everybody on CryptPad.fr. For a long time, they were reserved for paying members, because we would not have been able to deal with the amount of support tickets, basically, because there was still a lot of issues. But this year we solved enough issues that it became a lot more reliable. It's not perfect, but we're getting better all the time. Recently, we also replaced all of the icons on our platform. So with the latest release, that's a few weeks old. And so one of the issues when you deal with a code base that's 10 years old is that you have things that are kind of showing their age. Here it was Font Awesome 4.7, which is, I think, nearly 10 years ago was released. And this is one of those projects, like CK Editor, actually, that I showed for the rich text apps, which at some point decide that the next version is not going to be open source anymore. So for projects like ours that integrate open source, we have to stay with the last open source version. So in this case, our icons were really showing let's say, a particular timestamp of, lots of open source projects ended up with this set of icons. So we finally made the jump. It's very scary to do something like icons because it touches every single aspect of your product and it changes a lot of things. But we have some wonderful devs that did a great work of doing all that. And while doing that, we also future-proofed things. So we did this change not by replacing every occurrence of an icon by the new icon, but by putting a step in between, so that if we want to change, if we want to do a similar change in the future, it's going to be much easier and much less stressful to implement and also to test. So yeah, we are feeling the burden of a tech debt these days. Another thing that we did recently is to offer an onboarding flow when you install a new CryptPad instance. This is also because XWeekly, our parent company, started offering cloud deployments, so managed cloud deployments. So we wanted to display like that you can customize our product and for people to really try it as their own. So when you first install CryptPad, now you have a kind of onboarding flow where you can easily set the title for your instance, choose a custom logo, pick one of the colors that we have selected, because we have to stay like enough contrast and things like this. So we prefer to select the colors for people. You can still customize it fully then in settings, but we try and make it easy to make the right decisions, basically. So to conclude, a few things on how we're doing with this project. So these are statistics from the last 30 days of CryptPad.fr, which is our flagship instance. So we have over 2.5 million documents opened in the last 30 days, and over 300,000 unique users. Going beyond this instance, which is the one that we manage on a daily basis, we also have we're approaching the 2,000 CryptPad installations, so third-party instances of CryptPad that have chosen to keep the telemetry enabled to tell us that they have installed. So there is probably more that we don't know about it, but this is what you get when you do privacy-focused products, I suppose. And to finish, just quick credits of all the team, obviously. So we have Ludovic, who's the CEO of the company and helps us with sales and research. Jan, who's the privacy engineer. Myself as project lead, and originally I was design lead, so I bring design expertise to the project. We have Mathilde, who's a deployment engineer and takes care of our community and support. Wolfgang is focused on engineering for OnlyOffice. Susanna, Daria, and Diana are all developers. And Fabrice is an R&D engineer focused on cryptography, and Andrea is a developer. I should have said this is by order of appearance on the team, so in order of joining the team, basically. So thank you so much. We can get questions if you have any. If you want to know more about the project, CryptPad.org is where all the links to our forums, chats, everything is there. So that's the one link you have to remember. And I look forward to any questions or any comments that you might have. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, Open Source Politics is a company that was founded a decade ago, around 10 years ago, I think. So we first started with to work with the logiciel Decidim that was going to enable cities, but also citizens, to participate, to increase their participation into the municipalities or government's affairs. We've now broadened our domain of expertise to lasuite.coop, for instance. But here the focus will be on Decidim. I'll try to to explain a bit of what can be done with Decidim, and also I'll try to give you a quick window on how does it works, but also how the government structure is funded, and how it can be a great use case to form a digital commons from an open source project. So maybe you're not all familiar with what participatory democracy is. So it is. It first started a few years ago, like 15 years ago. There was an urge to replace or to find accommodation to the representative democracy that is in place in France, but also across Europe and in the world. And so there were more and more will from the citizens, but also from municipalities to improve the citizen engagement in the public decisions making. That was the case in Barcelona in 2016. There was some demonstrations and a new municipalities mandate. And so the government from Ada Colau in Barcelona implemented and created also a new software that is called Decidim, which means we decide together in Catalan. And I'll tell you a bit more about the story of how it was created and how it did transform in a common digital good a bit later. Now I'm just going to put the focus on what it does and how are we using it. So Decidim is an open source software, as I said, and as open source politics, I've been deploying it for like a decade, for I think now more than 200 organizations in France, but also in Europe and across the world, like the city of New York, for instance. This software actually enables like the participants to depose proposals, to answer surveys, to vote on some states or municipalities' proposals, and also enables them to communicate with one another. They can react to one's proposals, they can comment, and there is also a debate area when citizens can discuss with one another. And what we've come across on this last decade is that the urge for open source was more and more appreciated by the municipalities and institutions that we were working with, because in this frame of democracy, we also need transparency. And what enables open source is also to understand how does the platform and the software works, which is a huge component to what democracy has to offer us, in the meaning that it was meant to increase the dialogues between the authorities, well, the governments and the municipalities with the citizens, but also to sort of regain confidence in the citizens and the government's relationships. So the addition of an open source software was crucial in this domain because it enhanced this transparency. What Decidim does, there is 4 main spaces that are the consultations, the assemblies, the petitions, and the conferences. With each spaces have a means. The consultation spaces is more day-to-day consultation processes that are made by the organization that is using Decidim, so it is more a top-down spaces. Well, for instance, there is a very famous processes, democratic processes in France, but also in Europe, that is participatory budgeting. I don't know where you're living, but in most of the cities in France, for instance, there is a participatory budgeting each year, where the government, the municipalities put a few thousands or millions of euros to the decisions of the citizens. For instance, the city of Lyon, 2 years ago, they put 12 million euros to the decisions making of the citizens. So the citizens were able to submit proposals and then to vote for the proposals that were submitted by their peers, so the citizens. And then the city of Lyon was due to implement those proposals that were elected by the citizens. So this is the main process that we do in the framework of the crystallization space, but there is more and more, like on a daily basis, there are surveys and debates that are taking place there. Here are the assemblies, which is more a bottom-up space that citizen can have an administrator's possibilities to create, well, not to create, but to make them function. So, for instance, if a city anywhere wants to enable the citizen to have a space that is theirs, and whether to gather and to submit proposals, or I don't know, to construct a project, they can put an assembly to their administration. Here, there is mostly the Conseil de Quartier in France that are made by the city's organization for the citizens, and they are self-organized, shortly said. The petitions also are able in Decidim. I don't know if you heard of the petition for la loi du plomb at the Assemblée Nationale, made by the Assemblée Nationale platform. It is made by Decidim, so it enables the citizens to submit petitions and to sign petitions. It is more of an institutional process, but at the national level, for instance, the Sénat is using it in France, Assemblée Nationale, the CESE and Cour des Comptes, but more and more cities, like the city of Bordeaux or the city of Strasbourg, are using also the petition space. And at last, the conferences that is more likely to be used for in the frame of organizing events, but not really used in day-to-day basis. I'm not going to go deep into the features of Decidim because there are many of them, but the mains are to be able to do surveys, to submit proposals for the citizens, to show meetings. So the meetings can be organized and configured by the administrators, but also the citizens can submit meetings if they want to gather or to talk about some topics in particular. As I said, there is also the debating as a feature, and also the sorting. The sorting is mainly used when in the frame of local citizen assemblies, when we want to sort the participants of these assemblies, and there is a huge numbers of them, and we only need 100 of citizens, then we'll be sorting the participants of the citizen assemblies. And there is even more, but you can read them, and you can ask questions if you want a bit later. I'm just going to show quickly what does Decidim look like. So I've chosen the platform of the City of New York because it was nice to have a link with the current information and the new mayor. So here is their platform. You have the landing page here, where all the processes that are active are shown, and then here all processes can relate to all the active processes, but all the past one are also here available. And for instance, here they also did a participatory budgeting. So here's the space, which is a consultation type of space that I was talking about a bit earlier. And here you can find all the features that were activated to enable this participatory budgeting. For instance, here is the proposals feature where you can find all the proposals that were submitted by the citizens. There is almost 400 IDs of them here for this edition. And the users can scroll and go through them and sort them by category or by scope. It's very large, also functionalities, the features that this proposals feature offers. And I will not go into it because it will take a bit long time. Now I'm going to present a bit of the governance structures of the digital commons that is Decidim, because I think it's a very interesting use case of how it was built and how that the community now is existing. For short context and history, so as I said, Decidim was built in 2016 and followed the election of Atakalau, which demanded to implement and develop a participatory software. So the municipality, well, there is a department for participatory projects in the municipality of Barcelona. And so they gathered a technical team that developed Decidim not from scratch, but from another open source software that is named Consul and used in Madrid, and still is being used in Madrid. But they didn't like the way it was made shortly, and so they recoded the Consul software and made it into Decidim within the municipality of Barcelona. I think over the first 2 years, they've put 2 million euros of investment into the software. And they wanted to build it open source, to have a dependence on the big tech companies or private contractors that were already working with the city of Barcelona, and to guarantee ethical principles that were for them crucial in the frame of democracy participation. After the first development, they decided to write down a social contract that was defining the democratic principle of the Decidim projects. So how does it work? Which license is being used? So for information, the license is used is AGPL. And how does the community is working? Who can contribute and how? So they've written down also this social contract that is still being used and being readable on their website. They also created open assemblies and meta Decidim. That is a huge part and that we are still day-to-day using. It is a forum that is based on Decidim software, actually, that gathers the community of users and companies and researchers and governments that are using the software. So it is crucial to the roadmap, project roadmap making. They submit proposals, but the association submit proposals, but also as the users. But I'll come to that just after in 2 minutes. And what they wanted also was to include other persons than the municipality only. So they were, I think, around 5 people and developers working for the development of the software at the beginning, and they wanted to enlarge it so it can really be open source and not only Barcelona's willing driven. And to do so, they wanted to gain in independence, so they created an association that is called Asociación Decidim, that is established under Catalan law. And they wanted, to transfer the roadmap and also the direction from the municipality to a more independent organization, and that's why they've created the association. So they still got some funding from the municipality, but the decision-making was not dependent on the municipality. So for instance, and they wanted to build some resiliency also. So for instance, if the municipality of Barcelona now stops to grant a few €1,000 or €100 to as an association or to the software still will still continue to exist. So it was a crucial turning point. I think it was in around 2018 that they've made the association, and they've succeeded actually to make a global governance of this common good, the common digital good, and making it a common digital good. So now there is a collective leadership. So the association is not the only one deciding on what the roadmap is going to be and how is the development going to proceed. There is a public deliberation. So every voting process and also every proposals are made being available on the Meta Decidim platforms. And they've succeeded also in making the municipality's role as a support and not being controlling the software. Maybe I can say a last few words about how is it working now. So we are still validating the contribution on GitHub, and and that corresponds to public democratic rules. They've made some committees. So there is a general assembly of the association that makes a strategic orientation of the software. Then there is a coordination committee that is working day to day to the management of the software and the roadmap projects and everything that is going well in this ecosystem. I think there are 6 or 7 working there daily. And then there is a development committees that is taking the technical decisions and making the roadmap planning. And then there is a Decidim here that I was talking about, that is the larger community and which make public proposals and debates and make amendments to what is being proposed. And finally, there is the even more global community and gathering that enables the contributions to be tasting, to do the documentation also, and to organize some events. As of today, there is more than 500 organizations across the world that are using Decidim. There is researchers, there is NGOs, academics, governments that are actually taking part into this governance of Decidim. For instance, there is a government of Brazil that is actively taking part in the decision-making process. And there are also companies like us, Open Source Politics, that today are contributing to the development of the logiciel by making developments, but is also submitting proposals. And also to guarantee the long living of the software, we are engaging on giving 3% of our earnings to the Decidim Association as a symbol of contribution, as a mean of contribution. And we are not the only one doing so. There is a few also across Europe that are also giving back their earnings, whilst companies are giving back their earnings to the association. If you want to learn more about Decidim and how is it implemented, and even more now with the municipal election in France, you can contact us and we can go in depth in the presentation of Decidim. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bertille. Are there any questions? So you can either use the chat or raise your hand. Both options are possible. I think that would be interesting to know how many people participating in this call were aware about Decidim.
Yes. So the question of Tomo is: Do you think it's possible to plug Decidim with France Connect? Yes, it is possible. We are doing it with many cities. It is with the protocol of OpenID also being possible. So there is no problem for it. And as for the question from Ariane, can a small organization run its own instance of Decidim? Yes, it is already being made by several associations, but we also offers a very light deployment of Decidim. If it's only for a small group of persons, we can also have some arrangement and some proper offer to do. So it's not too heavy to have as big of a platform as New York City is not the mean. So we can have smaller platforms being deployed. Do you think it's a good idea to use it for a small association, or is it too complex? Which voting mechanism do you support? It depends on what do you want to do with the Decidim. If it's only or not only, but if it's to organize yourself, in Anton of Open Source Politics, we do use it for governance purposes. So we are only 15 in the open source politics, but we are still using it. And for us, it is efficient in the mean that we know how to use it, so we don't have this problem. But for a small organization, I think it still can be pertinent in the way that it enables to archive all your decisions-making process and to make it transparent, but also to vote on different matters. And for the maybe we can chat a bit more about what your organization would like to do with Decidim to see if it's being relevant or not for your specific cases. And for the voting system, we've got a lot. We've got the one per area. For instance, you have to enter your location, and then you have access to a part of budget, some budget and proposals. We've got the category voting process. That's for some categories you'll have, you can vote for categories in among others. We've got the voting system that is made by a certain amount of money. For instance, if you've gotten 100 euros to spend and you want to address it to some specific project, then you can choose all the project until it makes 100 euros. But you can also have another logic, that is, you have to vote for maximum tops 5 projects, and even if it goes beyond the 100 euros, you've got your vote for the 5 projects. There is also 1 or 2 in addition, and maybe I can go back to you for those details. Have you seen online communities use Decidim? Decidim was one of the most interesting presentations I saw. Seen online communities use Decidim? I don't think it did not cross my mind yet. But we are willing to. Like, for us, it is an important tools to organize themselves, but also it can be used as a forum. For instance, we are using it as a forum for our the organizations, for our customers' organizations. So it can be it is a great tool. So we would like to see more and more communities using it.
Okay. I have a question also on my side regarding the how do you see, the long-term sustainability of the Decidim project, and because as of now it's run by an association supported by the Spanish government, if I understand well. Yes. And so what would happen in the future if at some point the Spanish government decide to stop supporting it?
Yes. Well, this is a huge point, because we are living the same, having the same question as of today with the French, with the Decidim that is also developing tools, and how do we make resilience open source tools, and how do they become independent from the governments and fundings? The interesting case with Decidim, as I was saying, is that they constitute themselves as an association, and so they made the structure to be independent from the municipality of Barcelona. So as over the years, the funds actually decreased from the city of Barcelona, and they've tried to make another business plan to survive. And we've tried also, one of them was for the companies like Open Source Politics to redistribute their earnings from Decidim. So, for instance, we are giving 3% of our revenue made by Decidim to the association, so which was a big part into the resilience making of the Decidim. But also there is now a more diverse funding system. For instance, the NGI projects also funded. The foundation also funded some Decidim features, and also there is a question of the community, the engagement of other governments. For instance, what is cool and great for Decidim is that they rely on the funding to keep developing it, but also they rely on the communities that are using it to develop even more features. So, for instance, we are working with municipalities and regions and governments that want new features, and so we are developing it for them, and then we give back to the Decidim Association the development. Because it's very hard for for governments to give directly to an association. It is a financial system that is not really easy, and so the system that we found is that the municipalities pay us to develop features, and then the features are open source, so go back to the association, and we make sure to follow the project roadmap made by the association when we are doing those developments, so that it's not too customs. Okay. And I think for the following years, there is a good way that is Decidim is now resilient and independent from only one or two organizations. That I think it's a good sign of longevity. And now we will see how does our democracy also evolve, and what will the need be of Decidim in the future. And I think we'll have a huge need.